My GF has all these rules that are driving me crazy. I'm posting this from a throwaway because my GF uses Reddit and will freak out if she found out I did this. My GF 30F and I 30M have been together for 3 years. She is the best thing that ever happened to me, and I plan on marrying her. Lately, however, her rules, I call them rules, but they are more like obsessions, are driving me crazy. I know she is meticulous, I know she is particular, and I know she's a perfectionist, but I'm starting to think she has some kind of underlying OCD or something. Our house always has to be pristine, everything in its right place. But when I get off from work I just want to relax and not care about the fact that I hung up my jacket on the wrong hook. If I try to help her with laundry she gets frustrated because I hang up the wrong things at the wrong places. Apparently shirts go in a certain place on the laundry line and it's a disaster if they're too close to the socks. I'm not allowed barefoot outside, otherwise I have to wash my feet before I can get back into the house. I'm allowed to put my feet on the couch if I have socks or slippers, but those same socks and slippers are not allowed on the bed. Sometimes I just want to get into bed without having to put on clean socks. If a pillow so much as touches the floor it has to be washed, but then the designated pillowcase for that particular set of sheets doesn't match, so the whole bed has to be stripped and changed. All our sheets and pillowcases are white and look exactly the same. She reminds me to pack my lunch for work every morning, which is nice and all, but she does it 4 times in a row. She tells me every morning and every night to wash and moisturize my face, multiple times, and makes me promise that I will remember to do it only because I passed out on the couch and forgot one time. I've told her that it bothers me when she does this. She told me that she can't help it because it just builds and builds in her mind over and over if she doesn't say anything. I'm not allowed to say goodbye to her in the mornings, only see you later because goodbye could curse one of us. I'm also not allowed to say drive safe. She is currently studying for her board exams and she's already told me that I'm not allowed to say good luck because I will jinx her. She is extremely intelligent, and graduated at the top of her class last year. I told her mom about how well she did and how proud I was of her. Later that night, she was bawling her eyes out. When I asked her what was wrong, she said that she knew I didn't mean anything by it, but if people are aware of how well she did it means that she will do poorly in her board exams. Her mother told all her whole family, who then called to congratulate her, and I felt like the worst person in the world. I feel like things are just getting worse. For example, one of the cloths that we use to clean the house with is missing. We had a huge argument about it because she was tearing down the whole house trying to find it. I helped her look for it but gave up after 5 minutes because it was after work and I was tired. She got angry at me and accused me of not caring about our things. I told her that I do care about our things, but it's just a cloth and we can buy another one. It's just not worth the effort for me. She was freaking out, saying that it was difficult to find the cloths in that particular color, otherwise it wouldn't match with the others. We have a whole set of cloths just for cleaning. I then said that it doesn't matter what color the cloths are, just that we had them, which made her really upset. It's been almost a month and we haven't replaced the cloth yet because we can't find one in the very specific color she wants it. The worst thing is that I really think it affects her health. We both love to cook and often do it together. We usually spend time together drawing up a meal plan for the week, but her rules has started to make the whole process unbearable. Meal planning takes hours. Every dish that we make has to have enough vegetables. Fine, that's great, but the vegetables have to be the right vegetables for the dish. Some things can't be eaten together because they don't fit according to her. If a meal doesn't have enough of the right vegetables, she gets incredibly anxious to the point that she's nauseous and then just won't eat. She also has this thing where food can't be wasted, and then I tell her it's fine, we can just have it for leftovers for lunch, but obviously lunch is also then planned out, so she gets really stressed out and eats a small plate of vegetables while I make myself food. I know she's struggled with depression in the past and that she's on antidepressants, but this just feels like it's something more. No matter what I do to reassure her, I just feel like I'm making things worse. I've told her that she needs to see a therapist, but she told me she feels ashamed of these things and doesn't want to waste money on a therapist. I just don't know what to do anymore. Update: thanks everyone for all your helpful advice, comments and suggestions. I will try and respond to as many as I can, but if I don't get to you, please know I appreciate the input. We had a talk last night and she agreed to go to therapy. She said she is very reluctant to go to therapy because she fears that talking about this stuff will lead to bad things happening. She told me that many of these rules are distressing to her too, but she didn't really realize they had that much of an effect on her because she was still functioning normally. She also apologized for the fact that I feel like I can't relax and said it made her very sad and that she will do what she can to make sure I am comfortable and happy. We are also currently working on some strategies that will help ease some of the burden these rules have on me. We will be getting a coat hanger so that I don't instinctively hang my coat on the first hook I see, but rather as I come in the door, which works out better for both of us. I also made dinner on my own last night since she had a study session until very late and she was very grateful and happy, maybe just because she was hungry lol, but it was a win in any case. The meal didn't fit together perfectly according to her, and there wasn't enough vegetables, but I said that the meal fit together perfectly in my mind and that we could double up on vegetables at the next meal. She told me that by me saying that it actually made her feel a lot less stressed about it. Edit: I really didn't think it mattered, but some people have commented how these behaviors can be culturally transmitted, so I will add that she isn't Asian or Indian. She's Caucasian, as am I. Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1, she needs to be evaluated for OCD and start treatment with a therapist who specializes in OCD recovery. Redditor follow-up, yeah, I really was going to call this an overuse of the term until she said that saying goodbye could curse them and saying good luck could jinx her. That literally is describing intrusive thoughts. If you love your GF, get her help. Redditor 2, she should definitely be evaluated for OCD or other anxiety disorders. But regardless of whether she gets a diagnosis or not, living with her sounds pretty unbearable, and you are allowed to not enjoy living in this way and not want to do it anymore. The benefit of a diagnosis and therapy, with or without a diagnosis, is that she can get some tools to help her learn how to live with others despite her compulsions. Her compulsions do not need to be your compulsions, and people with OCD really can learn to manage their compulsions more effectively than this. Please make sure you communicate to her that it most certainly would not be a waste of money, given how unhappy this behavior makes you. She knows how frustrating this is to you, right? You've communicated your feelings about all of these rules and attempted to reach some mutually agreed upon compromises. I strongly advise you to drop the angle that she needs to see a therapist for her health. Instead, make this about your needs as her partner. Answer: thanks, I will definitely try and approach it as something that affects me a lot and it's for the health of our relationship. I also think she will be more likely to go if she sees it as something for the health of our relationship, since she is very independent, and has trouble asking for help, but I know she loves me and wants me to be happy too. Redditor 3, is she in therapy? This is all very concerning. Answer: she isn't in therapy at the moment. She is very independent, and has trouble asking for help, so she doesn't want to go. It concerns me too, which is why I want her to get some form of help. Story 2, Daughter's drunk confession turned my world upside down and current circumstances make it even worse. Not sure if this is the right place to post this since my situation is very different from others, but I am desperate. My wife and I have been together for 25 years but married for 19. We are high school sweethearts and have 2 amazing kids, a daughter and a son. I was honestly under the impression that we had a solid marriage, that our relationship wouldn't be like our friends and colleagues and we'd actually stand the test of time. Now I see how spectacularly naive and wrong I was. My wife has been a stay-at-home mom for most of our adult lives, something we both agreed, but after our kids went to college she began feeling restless empty nest syndrome, I guess. She would tell me she was feeling unfulfilled and felt like she had lost sense of who she was. I tried recommending hobbies we could do together, places we could visit, or even adopting puppies if that would help, and at first she was all for it but soon began saying she wanted to feel like she was contributing and not simply coasting through life. I understood and was willing to support her. She never liked sitting still, so I kind of expected it. She complained to a few friends and one of them actually managed to get her an interview at a real estate firm she used to work in one before having the kids, and I was just as excited as she was when she accepted. In the beginning things were going great, but after the first year I noticed some changes. She started going to drink-ups with co-workers, began texting a lot more than usual when at home and at odd hours at night. She even started wearing a particular type of perfume and would wear more suggestive clothing, nothing too revealing or slutty, but clothing that complemented her body figure a lot more than usual. But what made me suspicious was when I accidentally saw a message from a male co-worker on her phone. Wasn't snooping, which seemed to be a highly inappropriate and flirtatious. I asked about it and I could tell she was slightly shaken, but assured me he was simply a friend and she would talk to him about his inappropriate messages. Me, not wanting to be the paranoid, jealous and controlling husband, chose to believe her and let it go. Oh, how I wish I didn't. Her behavior got more strange as time went on. She started mentioning how she wanted to be more spontaneous with life, and even picked up smoking ed. I made jokes about how she seemed to be living the same college lifestyle as our kids and suggested she slow down, but she dropped an absolute boom when she mentioned in a drunken state after another night of going out that maybe I dim her lights and hold her back. I was completely blindsided by this and really believed I was messing up somehow, so I tried to do everything to improve the marriage, even booked counseling, but it went nowhere. Then out of the blue that strange behavior stopped. My wife apologized for the way she had acted. She said it was like she forgot who she was but realized what she had at home and knew she didn't want to lose it. She resigned from her job and we began MC. It was tough initially, but things improved immensely, and for the 2 years our marriage was better than ever. She was more attentive. She initiated intimacy more and would shower me with affection. The only problem is that her relationship with our daughter seemed to be in a nosedive. I would question my wife about it, but she would tell me it was a growing phase or a woman thing, and once again I would take her word for it. Funny thing is, during this period my relationship with my daughter improved. She would call a lot more, meet me for coffee or lunch often during the week, and even bought me gifts, t-shirts and stuff. I always told her it wasn't necessary, but she insisted, and I could always tell she wanted to say something but would hold her tongue. Tragedy struck one evening as my wife was returning from doing groceries and she was hit by a drunk driver. She unfortunately lost the use of legs and has been wheelchair bound ever since. Things got really bad and she would make suggestions about me sleeping with other women, to which I obviously refused. I just joked it up to her depression and reminded her that I was here to stay because I loved her more than our situation. This actually made her cry and ask me why I was so good to her, or what did she do to deserve me. Again I choked it up to depression and just tried to help her as best I can. Sometime later we went for our medical checkups. The doctor sat us down to inform us that they found a mass in my wife's throat. It was of an unusual size, and because it may be cancerous they have to do a biopsy. My first reaction was shock, whereas my wife was just blank at first. Then she started laughing. It started small, then became hysterical as she began mumbling that this was her punishment. We managed to calm her down, but she requested that before the biopsy we could do a family dinner. I of course agreed, and we had our kids and immediate family over. I made a speech about how my wife was the light of my life and how we'd get through this, but at the end of my speech I noticed my daughter was rather uncomfortable. I thought that maybe it was because of what was going on that made her feel that way. The next evening my daughter phoned me drunk, begging me not to hate her. At first I was confused, but reassure her that I would never hate her because she's my little girl and I will always love her. At those words she goes on to tell me how she caught her mother cheating on me with a man she had never seen before. It was during my wife's time at the real estate firm. My daughter gone on a road trip with some friends and decided to pass by a dinner they don't normally frequent to get a bit, and that's where she saw her mother lip locked with a man that nothing like me. Apparently this was why their relationship deteriorated and ours improved. I confronted my wife, and to her credit she didn't deny it. Through tears she confirmed it was the co-worker from the messages and says it was the dumbest thing she has ever done. She said he was always coming on to her and eventually wore down her walls. She tells me getting caught by our daughter made her realize the gravity of what she was doing. She wanted to take it to the grave because she never wanted to hurt me, and was too much of a coward to confess, so she begged our child not to tell me. I am absolutely shattered at the revelation and don't know what to do. I now question every aspect of our relationship and wonder where I went wrong. She tells me I was a good husband and that none of this is on me. The problem is, since that time I haven't been loving towards her. I still take care of her, but it's more like a nurse does with a patient rather than a husband to his wife. If I leave her she will be completely stranded. She is dependent of me both financially and emotionally, and it seems immensely unfair. Sorry if it seems all over the place, but I am a mess right now. Update: daughter's drunk confession turned my world upside down and current circumstances make it even worse. Update: I messed up. Wow, I had no idea so many people were willing to help, both on the post and in the inbox. It really helps to know we're not alone. I did something I am not proud of. My wife has always been on my case to experience my true feelings and thoughts about her, no matter how ugly or cruel they may be. Not long my first post in the afternoon as I prepared lunch for her like I always do, and just when I was about to leave her to her meal she suddenly grabbed my hand and once again begged me to say something to her, anything, because it was killing her the way I've been treating her since our D-Day. At those words I just exploded. A lot came out of me. I told her that to me she was perfection, but since this happened she has become used in my eyes. I told her that the very sound of her voice used to make me want to give her the world, but now simply being around her makes me want to run and never look back. I told her that now she is like a dead weight around my neck that will never leave because it needs me to survive. I explained that through all this she is still somehow the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning, and the last thing I think about when I go to sleep, but those thoughts are accompanied by a pain I never knew existed, and it makes absolutely miserable because somehow I still need her. I still want to hold her in my arms, but each time I touch her I have mental movies of her with another man. But what eats at me the most is the fact that she dragged our daughter into this. She put our baby girl in an impossible position and expected life to go on like nothing happened. I pointed out that even despite her current circumstances her relationship with our daughter has hardly changed, and that is the fruit of her actions. My wife just sobbed softly through it all, and at the end she simply said she deserved all that was coming her way. She said she tried her hardest to atone the disgusting decision she made during that time and has never stopped seeking forgiveness from our daughter. She explains that seeing me in this state makes her feel like a murderer and she will do absolutely anything to help me heal and recover from this. She also added that she wanted me to know that even if I never forgive her and end up divorcing her, she has and always will love only me, that she doesn't regret our life and marriage because it is more than she could have ever asked for. Apparently she can hardly look herself in the mirror, because of who was looking back at her, and she never wanted to be that person. I can see she clearly hates herself for what she did, but I am torn about all this. I never knew it was possible to absolutely love someone and hate them at the same time. I have decided to book therapy for me and my wife because I have a lot I want to say to her, but I'm afraid I'll go too far, so speaking in a controlled environment will be best. I also have this overwhelming urge to speak with the man she was involved with. It may be useless after many years, but I feel like I need to for my own sanity's sake. I want to know who was the man that had the audacity to actually come between a husband and his wife. I believe I will ask for his information during the therapy session. Once again, thank you all so much. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, not much to offer other than you'll find no peace seeking that man out. Your wife was married to you, and she willingly cheated. If every wife slept with a man who hits on her, this place would be the most popular subreddit. He'll provide no answers to ease the pain. In fact, you'll experience the opposite. It's already been done. You know how you feel. If you want to stay with your wife, you'll need more than just an apology. I hope therapy helps, but it sounds like you'll carry the trauma from this for a long time. The affair was the start of something, not the end. Trying to heal will be just as hard as D-Day. I wish you the best. We all don't get second chances, but some of us will never want one. Redditor follow-up. True, some men are just sleazeballs, and I think confrontation might go horribly wrong, assault and legal problems, but if this guy is married, his wife needs to know. Think about the choices he could have made for himself had he known before her accident. Redditor 2, seeking the other man out will not go well and could end up with you getting arrested or hurt. Terrible idea. Either move on with her or without her. That's the only choice you have control over. Redditor follow-up. Yup, I made this mistake. Luckily he ran, which was good, because I would have killed him. I ended up demolishing his brand new car, to the tune of $12,000. Add the fines after getting arrested, and the ordeal cost me almost $16,000. In the end it changed nothing and gave me zero satisfaction or closure. It only made the situation worse. Redditor 3, my condolences, man. She doesn't regret our life and marriage because it is more than she could have ever asked for. Well, apparently that isn't true. She definitely asked for more. And, despite knowing how wrong it was, did it, repeatedly, anyway. Remember, she chose to cover it up and continue even after you stumbled on direct, unambiguous evidence. That didn't make her realize what was more important to her. That didn't make her regret that she was actively asking for more than your marriage. She knew her husband saw inappropriate messages. No problem. I'll tell him to stop. Phew, my husband believed me. Now where were we? I can see she clearly hates herself for what she did, but I am torn about all this. She waited until she was caught and could no longer control the information. She made a deal with your daughter to keep it away from you in exchange for stopping. How is this hating herself? This is about as self-centered as someone can get. My guess is that she really hates that she got caught, and now she hates the fact that she has to pay a price for being caught. Her price was self-inflicted and she only has to pay it because she got sloppy. In her mind she would have been fine taking this to the grave with her. And she wouldn't have stopped anytime soon if she could have kept it going. The whole she realized what was important was only a thought process. She was effed to go down when your daughter found out. And, even then, she didn't come clean. She tried to bury it even then. Sorry, I have zero sympathy for her. Her accident doesn't change that. And her potential medical condition doesn't change that either. I'm just not buying any of the garbage about how much she hates herself because it sounds like she is the only person important to her. Her new reality takes her basically completely out of the relationship market. You're all she has left. Who wouldn't be sorry and regretful at that point? Remember, according to her, you dim her lights. Ready to follow up, bring this to the top. This is a bitter pill to swallow, but it's the truth in all its ugliness. She only has you left, of course she is sorry. Ready to bro, the other guy, forget about him, he was never committed to you, he was nothing to you and you were nothing to him, he didn't have time with your wife had time with him. Also, I wouldn't trust post-cheat remorse. You don't know how much of that is real. Ask yourself, are you really still in love? Will you ever be able to get the images of her and the other guy out of your mind? Do you really trust her to not cheat again? Ready to follow up, this might come as cruel, but given wife's circumstances, it doesn't look like she could cheat even if she wanted to. Ready to 5, please don't be upset with yourself. Your anger is completely totally justified. Your wife seems to think that making it up to you means being a better wife without actually having to come clean about it. Some things to explore in therapy would be why she felt the need to not come clean and why she let your daughter bear the awful burden she did. As for what you need, has she completely come clean with the details of the affair? As in, it started with flirting for a month and it was physical for 3 months. We had time 10 times? Are those the types of details you need? Or is it just the fact that she was with another man that is enough for you to know? Think about what information you will need. And respectfully, your wife did nothing other than just try to be the wife she should have been all along. She didn't come clean, she didn't go to therapy to find out what led her to cheat. She didn't help your daughter. She robbed you of the information you needed to make a decision about your life. She has just thrown herself a non-stop pity party. Yes, the things she has been through with the accident and the potential tumor are terrible, but you need to make a choice independent of her condition. It's time to put yourself and your healing first. As someone else mentioned, she should have a settlement, or should be receiving a settlement, as a result of the accident. Ostensibly that would be enough for her to obtain some assistance with her daily living activities. Ready to 6, I hope things get better. I can assure that you will find someone better. Everybody does. Your wife didn't tell you. Your daughter did. If your daughter had not told you, how long do you think your wife would have kept the secret? I hope you realize that you're a great man and you deserve the best.